hot topic, and because of the reason that most of the greenhouse gas emission is from the agriculture land, and in order to get the net zero carbon, we have to work very hard, all of you, all of us, so that we can come, uh, so that GHS gas emission will be reduced and the carbon content of the soil will increase, organic carbon. So first of all, I would like to tell you that what is carbon farming. As you know, that is carbon farming is the system of agriculture management. By doing that management, we can bring down the GHS gas emission, and we store more carbon in the land. This is the simple format of the uh, carbon farming. We have to reduce the GHS emission and we have to store more and more organic carbon. So greenhouse, by what means we can do that? So it has many management practices which farmers or which we have to follow, so that we can bring down that GHS gas emission. So there are many practices also. So what about the agriculture emission? I just give you the normal review of that in India, around in 2021, 14% of the total GHS emission is from the agriculture sectors. Agriculture emission in India are primarily from the livestock, which is around 54.6%, and then because of the nitrous fertilizer application, which is 19%, the greenhouse gas emission is very much higher in the agriculture sector. Among these green emissions from the rice cultivation is the main problem, because there is a waterlogging condition, and when we apply urea, so there is a formation of nitrous oxide in the land, which increases the greenhouse gas emission, and moreover there is a formation of methane also, which causes the main problem. So what I have told you, that what will be the way of reducing that. For example, in paddy cultivation, if we go for direct seeding and by using land leveler or by using organic fertilizer, we can bring down the greenhouse gas emissions. So next slide will be this is the carbon farming. What will be the major part of that the soil will be living? It has to be very organically rich soil. Biochar is one of the fertilizers which can be used to increase the organic carbon and hold the carbon content of the soil. Then holistic management. Holistic management means by using regenerative agriculture practices like zero tillage, direct seeding, then land laser leveler, then by using by cropping, changing the cropping patterns, by uh, uh, growing leguminous crops in the in between the paddy and wheat. So by doing that, we can. This is called the holistic management. Key line farming is also one of the content of carbon farming. Then one is agroforestry, is also helping increasing the organic carbon of the soil and reducing the GHS emission. I have just depicted the farming GHS emission from the variety of sources. For example, uh, fire when, for example, in Punjab and Haryana, you used to see that many farmers burn their stubble after paddy cultivation. That also increases the GHS emissions. Then by uh, deep plowing, you can also say that there is a GHS emission. Then paddy cultivation, I have told you that is the main source of greenhouse gas emission. Then the dairy farmers are also contributing into. So it is a life cycle of the farming GHS emission from the variety of the sources. Why is carbon farming is viable? For example, it is viable because it is climate friendly, uh, it creates jobs, it saves the farm, and otherwise it will be, for the farmer, it will be unprofitable. By adopting the carbon farming, by doing the regenerative practices, the cost of cultivation will be reduced, and whereas the cost of the productivity will be increased. So it will be very viable for the farmers to go for the carbon farming. And it will also help in the climate solution also increased second line of generation income generation like as I in earlier in later slide I also told that the carbon credit are be sold in the international market at a very good rate. So it will be a second income generation for the farmers. And most of all, the food security for the net population is one of the major thing that we have to go for the carbon farming. And as you know that CO2 is removed from the atmosphere stored in the plant material for soil organic matter. Carbon farming can be incentivized. I have told you that the carbon credit are sold at very good price in the international market. So carbon farming will incentivize the farmers. By doing that, they can earn extra money besides their crops also. It is farmer friendly also, and it is friendly to the health of the soil also. It increases the quality organic and chemical free food. Income of the say the I have told that the income from carbon credit for the marginalized farmers can also be there. Growth, as I have told, the growth in the carbon market, the total value of the carbon market grew by 20% in 2020, the fourth consecutive year for the record growth, and it will be on the way in raising a critical mass for the investor. The total value of the traded global market for carbon dioxide emit grew by 162% to the record 760 billions in 2021. Thus, carbon can be effectively proved to be a cash crop for the future farmers. Besides crop, they can also sell the carbon credit in the international market, and that will be very remunerative for the farmers. Just I have told that this is the you see that 31% the total emissions from the agriculture and land uses, and total greenhouse gas emission from sector agriculture sector is 74%. This is the conventional farming practices which farmers are doing nowadays, and because of this the greenhouse gas emission is very large. For example, the burning of crops, transplanting rice, tillage operations. The high tillaging will be done by the farmers in the case of paddy and in case of particularly in wheat, which increases the greenhouse gas emission. How aware is the world about the significance of carbon farming? As you know that in 2015 in Paris Summit Conference, uh, many global leaders came there, and they are very much aware about. They are very much concerned about the greenhouse gas emission, and they have assured that in their country they will bring down the greenhouse gas emission and commit to the net zero carbon emission. For example, in India, the government has assured that by 2070 there will be no zero, there will be net zero carbon emission. So it is of very much aware. The countries are very much aware about that. In European countries, they have put a cross-border carbon uh, taxes also. For example, if a farmer does not follow the carbon farming practices, their produce will not be allowed in to be entered to Europe. So they have to pay the carbon taxes before selling it into the European market. So governments are very much aware about that, and they are doing. For example, in India also, Meghalaya is currently working as a blueprint of carbon farming, and it will be the single largest one of the state where the entire northeastern region, and which has become the first world to become the fully organic in 2016. So, so, so you can say that the carbon farming is the future, and the government is also very much supportive, and it will beneficial for the consumers also and for the farmers also. And nowadays, many consumers are asking for the produce, and they are asking that whether the farmers have used the regenerative practices to for their production. So a different consumer segment is coming up, which are asking for the food which are grow by the regenerative practices. So it's quite aware, and the market is coming up. These are the regenerative practices, but basically I have concentrated on the paddy and wheat because in my area the main crops are paddy wheat. So in paddy, if the farmers are doing direct seeding, so definitely there will be greenhouse gas emission will be less. In wheat, if they are doing zero tillage and crop residue management, then the GH gas emission will be less. And in between, they have to go for the crop rotation of nitrogen fixing crop like leguminous crops. So that will help in reducing the doses of nitrogen fertilizer, and it will certainly decrease the greenhouse gas emission. So these are the regenerative practices which farmer has to follow in order to bring down the GHS emission. And as I have said that these carbon farmings are the direct incentive for the farmers. The land sector is key for searching a climate neutral economy because it can capture CO2 from the atmosphere. However, to encourage the agriculture and forestry sector, it is necessary to create a direct incentive for the adoption of climate practices. As currently there is no target policy tool to significantly incentivize increase in production of the carbon sink. Ca- uh, Carbon credits and carbon banks. The farmer can be rewarded through globally tradable carbon credits. Carbon cans also be created that might buy and sell carbon credits from the farmer. As you know that in India nowadays many companies are coming up for the carbon farming like Syngenta and Bayer is also. Then the UPL Nurture is there, and then Grow Indigo is there, and then some of the companies like Vara is also working on the carbon farming, and they are targeting the farmers who are using regenerative practices, and they are capturing the data, and they are validating the carbon credits, and on the behalf of farmer they are selling it to the farm in the international market and giving back to the farmers as an incentive. So the farmer can be incentivized, as I have said told, that these carbon credits are being sold to the international market and more likely in the Indian market also in the coming 1 or 2 years. So farmer will sell their carbon credit to the industrialist and other greenhouse gas emission sectors which can buy from the farmer and they can uh, use it. So there are many companies are working on it, and now it is a very much the farmers are very much aware and the companies are working on it. This is I have taken one news clipping from the newspaper, Carbon Farming for India Concept, Constraint and Interventions. Dr. Vijay Kumar, he has done some research on that, and he is very much assured that in the coming days, the farmers of the India will definitely adopt the farming for the betterment of the farming community and but for the betterment of the consumers also, because it will reduce the greenhouse gas emission, pollution will be controlled, and in the meantime, the soil health will be increased. So that's all for the carbon farming. Thank you very much. And if you have some any queries, I can seriously answer it.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful presentation. I will take up the questions from the participants now. In the meantime, can you please stop sharing the screen, sir,
Sure.
so that we can see your full video? Okay. First question is, so please tell us about yourself. What is your education and career background? What made you take an interest in this particular field?
Pardon, ma'am, can you speak loudly? I'm just.
Yes, sir. 1 minute. You're able to hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I will read out the question again, sir. So please tell us about yourself, your education and career background. What made you take an interest in this particular field?
Basically, it's a field for the agriculturist also, but the software technical part is also taken care by the software engineers, because the data is captured by the app which is developed by the software engineer, and after the data is captured, the practices will be validated by the remote sensing. So it's a quite a very good prospect for all the, including the agriculturists and also for the software and the AI based persons.
Okay, just a minute, sir. Sir, what is your expertise in the field of carbon farming?
Basically, I have told you that I have been doing farming in 150 acres of land. That is a precision agriculture farming. So we are taking care of all that. What I have told you, that I have taken care all the things. We are minimizing the uses of chemical fertilizer, maximizing the uses of organic carbon. We are doing carbon crop residue management also. I am very much quite aware, and I am also doing these carbon farming at my field level also. So I am quite aware, and I am in touch with the many companies which are into carbon farming, and we used to give sincere advice and take sincere advice from them.
Okay. What are some common practices or techniques used in common carbon farming?
Basically, ma'am, the main practice is that to minimize the use of chemical fertilizers, minimize the judicious use of irrigation. The flood irrigation certainly increases the greenhouse gas emission. So those practices which decreases the greenhouse gas emissions are the regenerative practices. As I have told you that if the farmer judiciously use chemical fertilizers, pesticides, then he judicially use irrigation techniques. So these were helpful in the carbon farming. So basically, the concept is to minimize the greenhouse gas emissions, and for that we have to change the practice. For example, in farmers of Punjab or Haryana, they are transplanting the rice by flooding the field, and that practice increases the greenhouse gas emission and and decreases the organic carbon also.
Okay. How does carbon farming differ from conventional farming practices?
Yeah, and just as I have told in my slide also, that in conventional farming, the farmer are using excessive fertilizer. They are using the plant to plant, and the road to road distance is not properly maintained. So these are the conventional farming activities, like transplanting the rice by deep plowing the field, and then sowing wheat also. So these are the conventional practices, and the regenerative practices like in paddy, like DSR, direct seeding method. Then in wheat, zero tillage without deep plowing the field, they sow the wheat. So these are the regenerative practices. So it is quite different from the conventional practices.
Okay. What does carbon farming contribute to mitigating climate change?
As I have told you that around 24% of the greenhouse gas emission from the agriculture sector. So if we bring down that particular 24, if we can target around 24% of the greenhouse gas emission, which is coming from the agriculture sector, that will be very helpful for the climate, for the environment also. So that is the only thing that we can, because we are from the agriculture sector, so we have to concentrate on those practices which can bring down the greenhouse gas emission. So it contributes to about 24% of the total greenhouse gas emission, which this is come from the agriculture sector.
Okay. How does carbon farming improve soil health and fertility?
Huh. It's a very good question, man. As I have told you that by decreasing the greenhouse gas emission, the soil will hold more and more carbon. If the soil will hold more and more carbon, then organic carbon will be increased. By increasing the organic carbon, the microbial activity at the topsoil will be increased. So what will happen? Whatever chemical fertilizer we are applying it to the lower dose because the microbial activity are taking place on the topsoil. They will convert easily that chemical fertilizer into a available form. For example, when we apply urea, it will be converted to nitrous oxide so that it can be taken up by the farmer. But if that microbial activity is less, then that fertilizer will be leached down, which will be total waste. So by holding the carbon content of the soil, by increasing the carbon content of the soil, the microbial activity will increase. That will bring down the cost of input and increase the quality of product.
Okay. Can you explain the economic benefits for farmers who adopt carbon farming practices?
Basically, ma'am, it will certainly help the farmer because, as I have told you, that whenever the carbon content of the soil increase, that will certainly reduce the cost of input. Moreover, the carbon credit will be generated, which can be taken up by the different companies, and they can sell it to the international market. Nowadays, as you know, that around one carbon credit is equivalent to $15. So $15 is around 600 rupees, 1600 rupees. So the farmer will be benefited by selling that carbon credit also. So they are taking the crop and they are taking carbon credit also. So it will be just like a cash crop for them.
Okay. I'll move on to the next question, sir. What are some potential challenges or limitations that farmers may face when transitioning to carbon farming? How can they overcome?
The potential challenges are like that for example, in case of Punjab and Haryana, the farmers are used to grow paddy and wheat. And at the time of paddy harvesting, they don't have uh, any equipment which can make that straw that can be managed. So what they do, they burn the straw, and by burning the stubbles, that will increases the greenhouse gas emission. So farmer has such challenges. So government here has to intervene and advise them that you don't burn the stubbles, and they must give some incentive so that farmer can switch over to carbon farming practices like regenerative practices. So there are challenges because the farmer is also very much not convinced because a new thing has to take some time.
Okay. Are there any government incentives or programs available to support farmers in implementing carbon farming?
Ma'am, there are some support from the government, but not for the carbon farming, but for the regenerative practices. Like government of Punjab asked their government whosoever who does not burn their stubbles will be given 1500 per acre. So such types of support are there. For example, direct seeding equipments are supplied by the government. So they are supporting for the regenerative practices, but not for the carbon farming. So for carbon farming, many private players are coming up who are assuring the farmer that they will take the carbon credit and sell it to the international market and give you money. So they have some tie-up and agreements also.
Okay. I'll move on to the next question, sir. Can you share some success story of farmers who have adopted carbon
Uh,
farming?
right now, ma'am, I don't have, but certainly I will share it on your mail ID
Okay.
because I have some testimonials from Punjab farmers.
Hmm.
I will definitely share it to at your mail ID. Right now, I don't have.
Okay, fine. So I'll take up the next question. What are the primary goals and objective of carbon farming, sir?
Primary objective is to bring down the greenhouse gas emission to improve the soil health of the field so that uh, the crop cost of production will be decreased and quality production will come out. So this is the main objective of the carbon farming. Second objective is that by doing that, the farmer will get extra income in terms of carbon credit, which can be sold in the international market. So these are the most main objective of the farmer, to improve the soil health, to adopt the regenerative practices, and to generate carbon credit, which can be uh, uh, help farmer for extra income.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. We have now completed the round of questions on behalf of agricultureinformation.com. We like to thank Mr. Maneesh Chandra Pandey for the talk and for answering the questions.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to also thank all the participants in the meeting. This meeting will now be closed.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're most welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye, sir.